All right, so today we're going over the Walrus Audio Voyager. It's an overdrive / boost pedal with a lot of options. We're going to be playing that through the Bad Cat Cub 40R, through a vintage Marshall 1968 Greenback 25 cab. Got an old SM57 and a Royer 121 ribbon mic on the cab. So yeah, so here's the sound of here's the sound I've got dialed in with the Bad Cat. I'm using the EF86 preamp and the fat boost to get kind of a pushed clean, but this is what you would boost an amp with. Got a little bit of reverb on there. I don't know, it just sounds nice. I love the reverb on these Bad Cats, so we're just gonna have a little bit of reverb in there and see how it affects the Walrus Audio Voyager. So Voyager's got 5 modes in it, which have different op amps, and it basically goes from more neutral, like more of a neutral but compressed sound, all the way up to being more wide open and more full range. So, you've also got the mid-range option on a switch, which is very unique. It's not something I've seen on a lot of pedals. And you can basically pick a frequency between 250 hertz and 2500 hertz or 2.5K, and you can boost or cut that. And you can have it on a switch. So if you just like the mid control, you might be one of those people who just leaves the mid on all the time. But you could also use it almost as a boost, depending on how you like to run it. If you don't need the mid control on your amp, then you could just have it boost for solos. So it's kind of a cool multi-purpose thing. I don't know that I've really seen anybody do that in a pedal, but I really like it here. You give me anything on a switch, or, it just allows you to be more creative. So then you got your traditional, volume control, tone control, gain control, everything you'd expect to see, on a boost pedal. So one thing I found interesting, so I'm going to start on mode 1. And what I've noticed about the different modes is that the mode settings, they give you different sounds, but you can't just flip through them and decide which one you like. That's not really the way it works, which is for the better, because it means the pedal's more versatile. It's not like they just slightly change the tone. They have a big impact on the tone. So the mode 1 is more compressed and doesn't have any kind of bass boosting in it. And, you can kind of tell that, which is why I have the frequency all the way down to 250 hertz, and I'm boosting that with the mid, because that makes up the difference in the fact that it doesn't have a bass boost. If I were to go to some of the bass boost settings that are more open, this is not the EQ I would choose. So if you hear, I'll just play this without the mid boost so you can hear what it does, flat EQ wise, or where I have the tone knob anyway. So that sounds great. So clearly that's a great sounding pedal. I'm not using the mid boost at all. I'm just using the tone and the gain control. The volume has plenty of volume. It matches the tone of the amp. And when I'm looking at boost pedals, or honestly any kind of gain, overdrive, distortion, even a fuzz, I don't like it when I turn the pedal on and then it's just jarringly weird, or it doesn't, it sounds like it just didn't care what the amp sounded like. This sounds like an overdrive channel in the amp. Like if I were to drive the amp, this sounds authentic to that. So that's the first thing I noticed about it, is that it's a very transparent and flexible overdrive, even on its most compressed setting. So here's the thing you can do with the mid boost. If you want, on this setting, since there is no low boost on mode 1, this sounds nice. But with the mid boost, I'm boosting a decent amount of 250, give you a little bit more oomph. Without it, either sound is good, but I find that, that does kind of help even out, like give you a little more thump. And I could turn up the mid and just see what it's like all the way up. So obviously that's a little honky, but it sounds really nice. And if you were to hear what you do when you boost the mids, so that's that sweep from 250 to 2.5K. That's the sweep of it. And again, I have it all the way up to show an exaggerated version of it. But if you just gave yourself a little bit of a boost, I'm sure this would sound nice on the higher frequencies too. This is without the mid. So you can get a nice grind, and if you wanted to go again all the way, mid boost on the highest frequency, it's extreme, but you can do it. I mean, that's a super electric sound. That's not bad. So it kind of seems like it works no matter what you do, but this is just mode 1. So if I switch to mode 2, immediately you can just hear even in the noise of the amp, you just get more oomph. So it's the same op amps, but it's got more oomph to it. Mid turned off. So because it's got the extra bass, I would brighten it up on the tone a little bit, and you can hear it open up just even in the amp noise. Even a little more. And again, this is without the Voyager. Now in that case, because it's adding the bass, I do want a little bit of a mid boost in order to make that pop and match the clean a little more. Versus the clean sound. And so that, that seems to kind of basically take care of it. Some version of that, maybe a little more tone. So it sounds great. So then you got mode 3, which I think is a different, it's starting to get more open, and it uses a different op amp. And so you can hear immediately, if I don't touch any of the settings, what you get with that, with the mid still engaged. Clearly a faster sound, edgier, more grind. Kind of more my style, the more open. I'm not that everybody does something different with these pedals. So I liked how modes 1 and 2 sounded, but they're just different, which again is great because the whole point of the pedal is you got to dial it in with your own rig and your own guitar. So these options are not to be understated. I'm not familiar with a lot of pedals doing this. The fact that you've got that mid control doing the frequency, most just have a mid control. They decide what frequency you get. If that does or doesn't work with your amp, okay. But this one gives you control over the frequency, and it's a very wide range, and it's booster cut, and it's on a switch. So you almost get a 3-channel amp out of the deal. You can just play without it. And then crank it. Or go even really far. Now that seems a little extreme, but I mean, if you're playing a chorus, and you go to something crazier, it's that subtle, we're taking things up a notch without changing your tone. So you're not like adding another boost pedal and then kind of affecting the EQ of the amp and the tone. It's almost like getting a boost pedal built in, and you could just leave it on and use the mid-range control for your main tone. But if you like it flat, which I think the later positions do even better flat because they're more open, then you almost just make it for like a mania boost, just a grind boost. Like here we're just rocking, and now we're full tilt. So yeah, so I mean, again, the flexibility in it's great, the fidelity in it's great. You don't lose the character of the amp. So that sounds great. Let's go to mode 4, which I believe is just even cleaner. So we'll see where we end up with the tone on this. So yeah, I don't think I need quite as much tone now that it's opening up. And I might do less of the mid, because again, it's just kind of letting more sound through. That just has a different character. If you flip between 3 and 4, that's a different pedal. It's got more sag, but it's really nice. I mean, it's in the middle, so I guess it would have like a pleasant kind of thing, but this gets faster. I almost feel like because it's less compressed, I could go up a little on the gain and it would still be clear, whereas before the compression was kind of making it seem gainy enough. But for this setting, and remember, we started with this. What nice young lads we were just a few minutes ago, huh? I want to rock. You know, it starts getting pretty wild. And obviously I could just dime the gain. Or, so, I mean, that's the thing. Any of these modes could have had more gain. Any of these modes could have had more juice, you know, added to them. But as it does get more opened up and less compressed, you do kind of feel like you can just kind of go nuts with the gain, which leads us to mode 5, which, you know, upon kind of messing with this thing real quick, kind of seemed like my favorite mode. I usually like things to be kind of high headroom. Now I have kind of more of appreciation for all the modes that I didn't fully have until I kind of went through and just whatever you just saw. But this one is the full most open, and it's got a bass boost. So we'll see what it needs me to do in order to even it out. I'll put the gain back a little less drastic for now. I think it'll be going back up shortly, but... Yeah, so if you compare that to 4 and 5, they're pretty similar. 1 and 2 are similar. They're the same with the bass boost. 3 is kind of its own thing, more kind of in the middle. And then 4 and 5 are the same, but 5's got the bass boost. So 4... 5's the same, just a little more oomph. Which tells me I'm going to need a little more tone. If I turn the mid off, it should still sound pretty balanced with the amp. I must not be hitting the pedal right with my big dumb foot. So again, that's pretty accurate to the amp. I mean, that just sounds like I'm switching channels like it's a 2-channel amp. I mean, I'm not getting the pedal isn't having a huge impact on the tonal quality of the amp. It's just sounds like the amp is being overdriven. That's a very neutral, I mean, obviously setting 5 is kind of the most neutral, 4 or 5. But that's neutral, and there's a lot of distortion pedal, overdrive, boost pedals that are not this neutral. I never played this pedal before, I didn't really even know what to expect, but I'm super impressed with the features and just the fact that it sounds like the amp, but on steroids. So let's turn up the gain. I mean, that's bordering on like fuzz levels of sustain, but you don't have a fuzz. Like you're not changing the tone drastically. It's not, I mean, fuzzes are great, but the fact that the gain will go that it just has that endless sustain kind of vibe in a pedal that also does clean boosts. Pretty wild. Now, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to max out the gain, and then the mid-range being a little brighter really comes in handy. So. That's that fuzz, almost fuzz-like character I'm talking about. I mean, we're doing full on stoner rock with a Strat and a Bad Cat Cub 40. Like, how did this start? How did this start out as like, that's a nice, accurate boost, to turning into like, this thing's ridiculous and like just completely full. I mean, yeah, I want to just I just want to play like, I want to do like sleep songs and just let one note ring for 15 minutes while everyone just goes, yeah, this guy rules. I mean, it's really pretty enticing. And again, Strat and a Bad Cat. I'm going to turn off the preamp a little. Yeah, that's like straight up big muff. I just turned the 250 hertz mid all the way up just to be an idiot. And like, you've just got straight up rolled off big muff sound. I guess I could just turn the tone up because it rolled it off and see what happens. That's fuzz territory, but without any of the downsides of fuzzes being unpredictable or changing your amp, which again, sometimes is the point, but one pedal can turn your amp from like nice sweet boost to reasonable distortion to just this. Or you can get real grindy. Yeah, I mean, I'm super impressed. I'm super impressed with this thing. I feel like I would have more than about a billion uses for this since it covers such a crazy territory and allows the amp to come through. So if I'm doing a recording project and we have the amp, but things just need to get crazy or ballistic or, up the ante, when you think of boost, you're just, yeah, we just boost up what we got a little bit. This takes it from a pushed clean to a boost to a distortion to a fuzz, all with the same sonic signature. And between the 5 modes, the tone knob, the mid frequency, you can get any kind of tone out of this thing, literally any kind of tone out of this thing. So like this is like a Swiss Army knife kind of pedal that, I don't know. It did everything. It did a lot more than I thought it was going to be able to do when we started doing this. So I'm super impressed with the Walrus Audio Voyager. Obviously, the old Bad Cat and the Marshall sound great, but if this pedal makes this amp sound like itself, it will make your amp sound like itself. I've never heard a pedal where that's the pedal where it's amp dependent. Pedals are either transparent and capable of maintaining the source, or they're not. And again, that isn't always the goal. But if that is the goal, and you've got a source tone that you love, and then you just need different ways of kicking it up, this is probably the single best pedal I've ever heard for doing that. I don't have any pedals. I mean, I have boost pedals and overdrive pedals that I love, but I don't have any that can somehow not change the amp and also turn it into a fuzz, like you're using a fuzz box without changing it. I don't know. That's not something I've got in my arsenal. So super impressed with the Walrus Audio Voyager, and I think you will be too. It also doesn't hurt my ears. I wasn't playing this amp that loud earlier. This doesn't even hurt my ears. I don't know what that. I mean, that's a good sign. But like, I usually wear earplugs when I do this stuff, and this is yeah, this is sweet. This amp combo is great, but basically it seems like this pedal will just amplify your amp. Oh darn,